Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear student teachers, Assalamu alaikum. I am Rashid Salim with lecture number 26 of Functional English 1. In lecture number 26, we are going to discuss ideas. We are going to agree or disagree with other people. Now, one of the important functions of language is to communicate ideas. And in fact, it is very essential for educated people to convince others and to use language in such a way as to state your own opinion and find out others' opinion. So it is really very important. And very often we agree with the others, but sometimes we don't. It is important to express our disagreement in appropriate language. So lecture number 26 is important from the point of view of its utility in real life. But first, let's have a quick look at what we learned in lecture number 25. Lecture number 25 was about weather. And we learned how to listen to and comprehend weather reports. In fact, we listened to a weather report by Prince Charles, if you can recall that. We also learned how to use weather-related words and phrases. So if you can recall, we learned today it is foggy. What's the weather like today? It's foggy. What was the weather like yesterday? It was rainy. What will the weather be like tomorrow? I think it will be sunny. We also learned how to use comparative and superlative degrees of adjectives. We learned how to use will for forecasts and predictions. I think it will rain tomorrow. That will can be used for forecasts, or it can also be used for predictions, any future predictions that you make. The difference between a forecast and prediction is that your forecast is based on hard facts and evidences, whereas your prediction could be maybe just your gut feeling. And in the end, you also learned how to ask about and describe weather in your own words. Lecture number 25 was important in another way because talking about weather is one of the common functions that we perform. But lecture number 26 is also important because this is one reason why we use language. Giving and asking about opinions is important. So after completing lecture number 26, you should be able to ask others' opinions, and you should also be able to state your own opinion. And agreeing or disagreeing is probably not very difficult, but learning the appropriate expressions to politely agree or disagree with others' opinion is really crucial to communication skills. Then in lecture number 26, you will also learn to use polite expressions of interrupting. You know, sometimes in order to give your opinion or in order to state your difference of opinion, you make interruptions, you interfere, or sometimes other interfere when you are talking. So how to handle with such situations? And in the end, you will also learn how to give a debate or how to give pros and cons of a debatable topic, the plus and minuses of a debatable topic, the positive or negative aspects of a topic, the advantages or the disadvantages. And very often when we agree or disagree with someone, it is important that we give reasons. So we'll also learn to give reasons for our opinions. But first, Let's start with a very basic question, and that is, do you know the difference between a fact and an opinion? Let me ask you these statements. Look at the following statements and say if these are facts or opinions. So for each statement written here, say whether it is a fact or an opinion. Summer is the best season of all. What did you say? That's right. If you said it is an opinion, you are right. Because the word the best, okay? Well, according to some people, winter is the best season of all. Others might disagree. They might say that spring is the best season. While I was in China, I remember that most of the Chinese in Beijing, they said that autumn was the best season of the year. And it really was the best season because I agree with their opinion, because in autumn it was really it used to be very colorful. Okay, let's look at the next statement. London is the capital city of England. Is it a fact or an opinion? That's right. If you said it is a fact, you are right. Swimming is a good way to keep fit. That's right, it's a fact. Everyone should swim once a day. That's an opinion. Daffodils are the prettiest of all the spring flowers. That's an opinion too. A turtle has a hard shell. That's not an opinion, that's a fact. Smoking is nasty. That's an opinion. By nasty, usually we mean unpleasant, unfavorable. Smoking is nasty. If I say smoking is unhealthy or smoking is injurious to health, that would be a fact. But if I say smoking is nasty or I dislike smoking, that would be an opinion. Seeing is believing. That's an opinion, right? Do you agree with this opinion or not? Okay, you do. When you heat water, it boils. Yeah, it is a fact. In fact, it is very important to differentiate between a fact or an opinion, because these days, especially the advertisers, the people who are trying to sell their products, they present their opinions as facts. So they might say that their product is the hottest of all the applications. Now, what do they mean by hottest? Of course, this word states an opinion, and there is no hard way to find out whether their opinion is correct or incorrect. A fact can be substantiated with reality, so you can actually verify it whether it is true or false. So fact is a statement that can be verified and that can be termed as correct or incorrect. Whereas for opinions, it is better not to use the word correct or incorrect. For opinions, it is better to say that opinions are different. So you might agree with some opinions and you might disagree with some other opinions, but you can't say that your opinion is correct and everyone else's opinion is incorrect. So opinions are only different. They are not correct or incorrect, whereas facts can be true or false. So that is really important, because these days the political statements by many politicians on media and the people who are trying to sell their products, and sometimes even governments, they make statements and they present these their opinions as facts. So as teachers, I think it is important for you to inculcate this skill among your students by asking them to differentiate between fact or opinion. Usually we have multiple choice items. We can also have binary choice items. And in binary choice items, one of the questions that we ask our students is whether the statement is true or false. And unfortunately, when we are checking the comprehension of our students, sometimes we ask our students whether a given statement is true or false, and we forget that the statement that we have, that we gave, is not a fact. It is an opinion. So it is, I think it is not appropriate. Next time, make sure that whenever you give a binary choice item in exam, true-false item, you must make sure that your item is a fact and not an opinion. Otherwise, you will confuse your students. The second thing is that true-false is not the only binary choice item that we can ask. In fact, we can ask our students to differentiate between a fact or an opinion, just like this exercise here. You can ask them to write F if it is a fact, and write O if it is an opinion. And this is an important skill, and we must inculcate, or we must make our students practice this skill, master this skill. Okay, now I'm going to ask you a few questions. Of course, as human beings, you all have your opinions about various issues. These issues could be political, social, religious, philosophical, moral. There could be any kinds of environmental issues. There could be monetary issues. And one of the important purposes of education is to form an opinion. Unfortunately, these days we ask our students to cram facts and figures, and we do not let them form their own opinions. We simply sometimes we force our opinion upon our students. That should be avoided, because forming an opinion is an important aspect of education. So students should be able to form their own opinion, and then they should also be able to express their opinions. Okay, let me ask you your opinions about some of the statements that I've written here. Okay, now let me ask your opinion about the following statements. The first statement is really very common, and very often we give it as a debate to our students. Co-education is good for education. Do you agree or disagree? Well, of course, there is no right answer to this statement, so whatever you said is okay. Death penalty should be banned. You know, sometimes some criminals, their offense is so great that some people advise that they should be sentenced to death. They should be hanged. Whereas others are of the opinion that that the purpose of punishment is to reform and not to end the life of the people. Instead, we should provide them with an opportunity to reform themselves. Okay, again, well, your opinion matters, but unfortunately, I don't have any way to learn whether you agree with it or disagree with it. If you say you agree, this means that death penalty should be banned. Otherwise, if you think that no, it should not be banned, then you disagree with this statement. Okay, the next statement is, Internet brings more harm than good. You have to form an opinion about this one because, of course, Internet has both pluses and minuses. It has advantages and disadvantages. But do advantages outweigh the disadvantages? Does it bring more harm than good? That's the statement. Personally, if you ask me, I am of the opinion that it brings more good than it harms. Okay, the next statement is, we should ban junk food from schools. Do you agree? What do you mean really? What do you really mean by junk food? Like soft drinks, carbonated drinks, burger, and pastries and cakes, these kind of things are called junk food. They are not very nutritious, but they might be very tasty and people like eating them. If you ask me, well, I don't really say that they should be completely banned from schools, but they should be discouraged from schools. So if you ask me, I would agree with this. Okay, the next statement is really interesting. Advertising is harmful. Do you agree? Well, I don't agree with this. The next statement is, we should allow corporal punishment in schools. And by corporal punishment, we mean physical punishment, like slapping someone or hitting someone with a rod, etc. It used to be a common practice when we were students. Our teachers used to beat us a lot, but these days governments are of the view that we should not use corporal punishment in schools. So what is your personal opinion about it? I agree with it. I agree that we should, I disagree with it. We should not allow corporal punishment in schools. That's my opinion. So I disagree with this statement. We should not allow corporal punishment. Okay, the next statement is, housewives should be paid for their work. Well, that is interesting. And it's difficult for me to decide on this one, but I think I would like to disagree with this. All nations have a right to nuclear war. I disagree. I don't know about your opinion on that. Okay, you would find that once you have found your stance, your standpoint, your claim, the next thing you need to do is you need to enlist the reasons why you are in favor of these statements or why you are against these statements. For example, if you are against co-education and you think that co-education is not good for education, then you need to find out the reasons why you think co-education is not good for education. Similarly, you need to find out your reasons whether you speak in favor of these statements or you speak against these statements. Okay, now you can use these statements in order to have debates. Here is one practice situation for you. Try to find a partner, and with your partner try to have a debate, a little debate on these issues. And you should first make up your mind whether you are in favor of these statements or against these statements. And once you have made up your mind, you need to enlist a number of reasons, and then you need to express those reasons as well. So merely stating your opinion is not enough. It is important that you should have valid reasons to solidify your argument. Okay, so let's learn some expressions that are used in order to state an opinion. So how do you state an opinion in English? Well, one simple way is to say, in my opinion. In my opinion, internet is more useful than it is harmful. In my opinion, mobile phones should not be allowed in school, in primary and secondary schools. Okay, you can also say, the way I see it. You can start your sentence with, the way I see it, the way I see it, it is harmful for children to have their own mobile phones. The way I see it, it's harmful for children under the age of 18 to drive cars. If you want my honest opinion, I would go for co-education. According to Lisa, smoking in the public places is really very nasty. As far as I am concerned, death penalty should be banned. If you ask me, corporal punishment is harmful for the kids. So here are some expressions. You should note them down in a notebook. Normally, you start your sentence with, in my opinion, the way I see it. If you want my honest opinion, according to Lisa, if you are stating someone else's opinion, not your own opinion, then you can say according to Ali, according to Fatima. As far as I am concerned, if you ask me, so these are some ways of stating your opinion. But what about asking an opinion? If you want to ask someone's opinion, how do you do that in English? If you want to ask other people's opinion about a particular topic, about a particular issue, about a particular problem, this is how you can ask. Well, the simple way is to ask, what's your idea? What's your idea? In fact, when you are saying what's your idea, you are asking for someone's opinion. So for example, you can say, what's your idea about the new timings? What's your idea about the menu? What's your idea about the environmental pollution? Similarly, you can ask, what are your thoughts on all of this? What are your thoughts? So that's the main expression. What are your thoughts on? And then you can replace this, all of this, with something else. Like you can say, what are your thoughts on smoking in the public places? What are your thoughts on driving, underage driving? What are your thoughts on the use of mobile in the classroom? What are your thoughts on the uses of internet? Similarly, you can say, how do you feel about that? And again, you see, how do you feel about is the main expression, and you can replace that with any statement. So you can say, with any phrase actually. So you can say, how do you feel about swimming? How do you feel about the new menu? How do you feel about living in an apartment? How do you feel about practicing in a small village? Okay. Similarly, you can say, do you have anything to say about this? Do you have anything to say about the environmental pollution? Do you have anything to say about corporal punishment? Do you have anything to say about learning English? Okay, another simple question that you can ask is, what do you think? And normally this question follows a statement. For example, you say, I like vegetables. What do you think? I prefer mountaineering over cycling. What do you think? Okay, so in this way you can highlight or you can emphasize the word you, because you are comparing your opinion with someone else's opinion. So you can say, for example, I prefer an iPhone over BlackBerry. What do you think? Okay, the commonest question that you can ask is, do you agree? So if you have given your statement, you usually say, do you agree? For example, there are a lot of tourist attractions in Pakistan. Do you agree? Democracy is the best system of government. Do you agree? Socialism is better than capitalism. Do you agree? Similarly, there is an informal way of asking a question, and that is, wouldn't you say? So wouldn't you say is also used for asking someone's opinion. Wouldn't you say? Okay, great. So these are some expressions that you can use in order to ask for an opinion, and it is really important. Very often we need other people's opinion to learn from them, or maybe to correct ourselves. Okay, now in order to express agreement, there are different ways, there are different expressions, and you can choose from among these expressions depending on the situation. In particular, depending on the person you are talking to. What is your relationship with him or her? What is his or her age? What is his or her gender? What is his or her profession or social status? How much he or she is educated? So these things really matter when you are expressing agreement, what kind of expression you use. And you can use various expressions depending on the degree of your agreement or disagreement. Sometimes you don't agree with someone 100%, you only agree partially. Okay? Let's first look at these expressions, and then we'll look at some other ways to partially agree with someone. Okay, so one way to express your agreement is to say, I agree with you 100%. So if you fully agree with someone, you can say, I agree with you 100%. I couldn't agree with you more. So this is another way of saying, I agree with you 100%. I couldn't agree with you more means that that I agree with you 100%. But this is stylistic, and this is, you can say, more common than the first one. So you can vary your expressions, and you shouldn't always say, I agree with you 100%. Sometimes you should, for the sake of variety, you should say, I couldn't agree with you more. So if someone states that we shouldn't burn trees, or we should protect the endangered species, you can say, I couldn't agree with you more. Okay, and similarly, if you agree with someone, you can say, that's so true. That's so true. Actually, simply, it doesn't have to be true, because you are responding to someone's opinion, And earlier I said that an opinion is neither true nor false, it is only different. But since you agree with someone on that opinion, you can say that's so true. Okay? This simply means that I agree with you, or we share the same opinion. That's for sure. That's for sure again means that definitely it's like this. But again, you see, you are simply saying that I agree with you. So when you say that's for sure, it means that I agree with you. Okay, here you have a slang, and you know what slang means? Slang is not standardized English, not academic English. It is merely street language. But since you often hear such slangs in English movies or by the native speakers, so you should have an idea. Even if you don't want to use such slangs in your own language, still it is useful. Tell me about it. Tell me about it means you agree with someone. Okay, another way to agree with someone, fully agree with someone, is to say you are absolutely right. Or merely you can say absolutely. Absolutely. Similarly, you can say that's exactly how I feel, or you can say exactly. In fact, it is very common to say exactly. Exactly means that that's exactly how I feel. Okay. These are very common. Now, you might be wondering why there are so many ways of expressing agreement. We get bored, so we don't want to use the same expression again and again. In fact, I want you to note down these expressions in your notebook and try to vary them in your speech. That will make your speech more interesting and more natural. Okay, I'm afraid I agree with James. I agree with James is pretty simple, you understand that. But what does this mean, I'm afraid? I'm afraid is normally said when you are saying something which might not be acceptable for the speaker. So you disagree with someone, but you agree with James. In that case, you'll say, I'm afraid I agree with James. I'm afraid here means I'm sorry that I don't agree with you. Instead, I agree with James. Now, this expression got here by mistake because we are learning to express agreement, and this one doesn't really express agreement. It does express agreement with James, but I'm afraid means that that you are disagreeing with the speaker. I have to side with Dad on this one, so this sentence is just like the previous one. No doubt about it. No doubt about it also means that I share the similar opinion. It doesn't mean that it is 100% correct. It simply means that I agree with you. Okay, if you are agreeing with a negative statement, you will say, me neither. This is a common way of saying it. Maybe it doesn't sound grammatically correct, but very often you will hear such phrase in movies, or especially by the native speakers. So if, for example, someone says, I don't like smoking, you can say, me neither. Alright, if you don't completely agree with someone, you only agree with someone, but it is weak, your agreement is weak, then you say, I suppose so, or I guess so. For example, if someone says that lasagna is one of the best dishes I have ever eaten, you can say, I suppose so, or you can say, I guess so. Now the next statement, next expression is also very common. You have a point there. You have a point there. You have a point means you have a weighty point there. Your point carries weight. But simply it means, it is another way of saying that I agree with you. I was just going to say that. I was just going to say that means that I agree with your statement, and that is exactly what I was going to say. Okay, so here are some expressions for expressing agreement, and this again is not an exhaustive list. You can always add to this list. But try to use a variety of expressions in your speech to make your speech more interesting and more natural. Okay, earlier we learned that we can express agreement with a negative statement by saying me neither. So how to say these words so and neither in English? Suppose there are two characters, one is Ali, another is Fatima, and if Ali says I am in favor of old design and Fatima agrees with Ali, Fatima can say so do I. Instead of so do I, Fatima would say so am I, because here we have the helping verb am, so we should use the helping verb am here. Sorry for the mistake here. It should be so am I. I'm in favor of old design, so am I. Okay, now if two characters agree on an opinion and one person says in positive statement that I am in favor of watching television, you can say so am I. I like driving, so do I. I'm against violence, so am I. Okay. All right. Now suppose that Ali agrees with something and Fatima does not agree with something. Then if Ali says I agree to Salma's idea, Fatima would say but I don't. If there is a negative statement, as we learned earlier, Ali says I don't favor mercy killing. I don't favor mercy killing. Fatima can say neither do I, or she can say nor do I. For example, now I'm going to make some negative statements, and if you agree with me, that means if you share my negative opinion, then you would say nor do I or neither do I. Otherwise you can say but I do. For example, I don't fancy Chinese cuisine. If you have this is a negative statement. With negative statement, if you have difference of opinion, you will say but I do. If you share the same opinion, you will say neither do I or nor do I. So in other words, if both Fatima and Ali are in favor of something, they will say so. If both of them negate something, they will say neither or nor. Okay. Now you are going to practice it, and I'm going to make some statements, and if you agree with me, dobara last sentence hum dobara karenge. Okay, now let's do a little bit of practice. I'm going to state my opinions. First, think whether my opinion is positive or it is negative. If it is positive and you agree with me, you will say so do I. If my statement is positive but you disagree with me, you will say but I don't. If my statement is negative and you agree with me, you will say neither do I or nor do I. If my statement is negative and you disagree with me, you will say but I do. Okay. I hate smoking. If you agree with me, you can say so do I. I hate smoking. I hate one-wheeling. I hate one-wheeling. I don't like corporal punishment. All right, very good. Now I'm going to make some negative statements. I don't like corporal punishment. If you agree with me, you will say, neither do I or nor do I. And an informal way of expressing agreement could be, me neither. So if I say, I don't fancy mercy killing, you can say, me neither. I don't fancy means, I don't like. And you know what mercy killing means? Well, this is a debatable topic in the West in particular. Sometimes a patient is ill to such an extent that there are no chances of his or her recovery left. And the patient is exercises a lot of pain. So sometimes the patient asks for mercy because life is more painful than death. This kind of killing is called mercy killing, because you kill someone for the sake of because you feel mercy. It might not be debatable for us in Pakistan and for Muslims because we try to save lives till the very last moment, and we can't be 100% sure about whether someone would recover or not. We believe in miracles. But in the West, this is a debatable topic, especially the non-Muslims. They often have debates on this. Okay, I do not like smoking. Very good. If you said neither do I, nor do I, or if you said but I do, you are using it appropriately. Okay, very good. Now let's move on. If you want to express disagreement, you need to be polite. If you disagree, for example, I say that this color suits me. You disagree with me, you can say, I don't think so. This color suits me. I don't think so. We are going to work extra hour today. No way. No way is like complaining. You disagree with someone strongly. We are not going to have holiday tomorrow. No way. Okay, the next statement is, I'm afraid I disagree. I'm afraid is really very polite way of disagreeing. So if you disagree with someone, please simply don't say I disagree. You should in fact add this phrase. You should say, I'm afraid I disagree. This would make it polite. Okay, but if you want to show strong disagreement, then you can say, I totally disagree. I completely disagree. Okay, the next one is also a polite way of disagreement. You can say, I beg to differ. I beg to differ means I want to express a difference of opinion. I differ with you on that. I beg to differ. And if you want to be strong, you can say, I would say the exact opposite. I'd say the exact opposite means that I hold exactly the opposite opinion. For example, if I say that corporal punishment should be banned, and you disagree with me, you can say, I would say the exact opposite. Okay. If I say that women are bad drivers, you can say, not necessarily. Not necessarily means that I disagree. It's not necessary that all women are bad drivers. Some women could actually be better drivers than men. Men are more reckless drivers. Okay, similarly you can say that's not always true if you disagree with someone. If, for example, I say that internet is a mere wastage of time, you can say that's not always true. This means that sometimes it might be true, you agree with me, but you don't agree with me completely, you only agree with me partially. Or similarly, you can use another expression, which is that's not always the case. That's not always the case. And the last one is if you are not very certain, if you are not very sure, you can say, no, I am not so sure about that. You are actually expressing your disagreement, but this disagreement is not very strong. It is polite and it is really very humble. Okay, so far you have learned how to express your agreement and how to express your disagreement with someone. You have also learned how to respond to someone's opinion. If someone makes a positive statement, you can say, so do I, or but I don't. If someone makes a negative statement, you can say, neither do I, nor do I, or you can say, but I do. But now we are going to learn how to interrupt people. You know, sometimes people are making a statement and you disagree, you want to cut them short, you want to interfere them. So how to do that? We will also learn expressions if someone interrupts you, how you can respond to that situation. Okay, for example, you agree with someone, someone is expressing his or her opinion and you agree with him or her, you can say, can I add something here? Okay, can I add something here? So this means that you agree with him or her and you want to give another reason or maybe another, you want to express your opinion which is similar. Is it okay if I jump in for a second? Now you are seeking permission in order to give your own opinion. Whether you agree with someone or disagree, that's the secondary thing. The important thing is that you are interrupting a discussion and it's polite if you ask the permission in this way. Is it okay if I jump in for a second? If I might add something is really very polite because of the word might. You have learned that there are degrees of politeness, and might is more polite than may. If I may add something is polite, but if I might add something is politer. Okay, here is an expression which is pretty common, not very formal, but it is interesting to use it. Can I throw my 2 cents in? This is an idiomatic way of interrupting. Can I throw my 2 cents in means, can I give my opinion here? Can I throw my 2 cents in? Okay, but the commonest way is to say, sorry to interrupt, but, and the word but here actually indicates that you are going to disagree with the speaker. Okay, if you have accidentally interrupted someone, you didn't mean to interrupt, but you were so excited or you were so over enthusiastic that you interrupted someone and then you suddenly realized that you shouldn't have done that, you can say, sorry, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead. Or you can say, sorry, you were saying. Okay, and this means that you apologize. And if someone interrupts you, you can say, you didn't let me finish. But this is, I think, really very harsh if you say you didn't let me finish. This is like saying that it is really impolite. Instead, you can say, if you please let me finish. Okay. So interruptions are, you need to learn polite ways of interrupting others and responding to interruptions in English, especially when you are giving ideas, when you are agreeing or disagreeing with the others. Okay, now most of the times if there is a difference of opinion, you need to settle this argument. And how can you settle it? You can either accept others' opinion, or other might accept your opinion. You can accept the majority's opinion if there are more than two people. I mean, there are different ways of settling an argument. But in English, this is how you say. Let's just move on, shall we? So instead of continuing a debate, you say, okay, I agree with you, I don't agree with you, but all right, we decide it. Let's just move on, shall we? And similar expression is, let's drop it. Let's drop it means let's stop quarreling about it. Let's settle this argument and move on. The next sentence is really interesting. I think we are going to have to agree to disagree. We are going to have to agree to disagree. This means that we agree to have a difference of opinion. And I think all educated people, they think that it is everyone's right to agree or disagree. And everyone should be given a chance to voice his or her opinion, no matter whether it is similar to our own or not. उर्दू में किसी का एक शेर है, मैं दे रहा हूँ तुम्हें खुद से इख्तलाफ का हक, मैं दे रहा हूँ तुम्हें खुद से इख्तलाफ का हक, ये इख्तलाफ का हक है मुखालफत का नहीं. Now this is really interesting, the difference between ikhtilaf and mukhalafat. If you have difference of opinion, there is ikhtilaf, and if you you can say, otherwise you have a conflict, जिसको इख्तलाफ हम कहते हैं, conflict. So we should avoid conflict and we should encourage difference of opinion. अच्छा, ये जो शेर मैंने उर्दू में पढ़ा है, इसमें बड़ा दिलचस्प सा तज्जिया इस तरह भी किया है कुछ लोगों ने कि मैं दे रहा हूँ तुम्हें खुद से इख्तलाफ का हक. तो लोग ये भी एतराज़ करते हैं कि तुम कौन होते हो मुझे इख्तलाफ का हक देने का. इख्तलाफ का हक मेरे पास ऑलरेडी मौजूद है, वो तुमने नहीं देना, ये अथॉरिटेटिव नहीं होना. एनीवे, दिस इज़ एन इंटरेस्टिंग वर्स. मैं दे रहा हूँ तुम्हें खुद से इख्तलाफ का हक, ये इख्तलाफ का हक है मुखालफत का नहीं. Okay, if you are sarcastic means tanziya. So you agree with someone, but you don't really, you disagree with someone, but you really want to settle the argument, so you say whatever you say. Whatever you say means that I disagree with you, but it's okay if you say like this, I'll do like this. So whatever you say, or if you say so. If you say so means that I disagree, but I'll do as you order or as you say. So this is how you can settle an argument. Now we are going to look at some common mistakes that we make. Okay, now we are going to look at some common mistakes that we make when we agree or disagree with someone. Now here we have 7 sentences and I want you to look at them, and I want you to correct them if you think they are incorrect. If they are correct, then leave them alone. Okay, sentence number 1. That's interesting, but I'm not sure if I am agree. You're right, this sentence is incorrect. The correct sentence could be, that's interesting, but I'm not sure if I agree. With I, we don't say I am agree. We say I agree or I disagree. So am is not correct here. We should say, that's interesting, but I'm not sure if I agree. Number 2, I think you might have right. Have is incorrect here. We should say, I think you might be right. I think you might be right. Okay, number 3, exactly. Now, are you all agree? Exactly. Now, are you all agree? Again, this is incorrect. The correct should be exactly. Now, do you all agree? We use the helping verb do with agree. Do you all agree or do you all disagree? Number 4, I think you are right. This sentence is grammatically correct, so you don't need to make any changes to this. I'm not sure I disagree. Okay, here you need if or whether. I'm not sure if I disagree. I'm not sure whether I disagree. Okay, do we all agree now? This is incorrect. We don't need to use the second form agreed here because we are using do here. So this is present simple tense. We should say, okay, do we all agree now? No D. Do we all agree now? Okay, how about the last one? I don't entirely agree. You're right, this is correct. You can say I don't entirely agree, or you can say I don't completely agree. Okay, now you have a small task to do. You are going to listen this audio clip and you will hear that Tim and Kerry have two different opinions or positions on an issue. As you listen, try and hear the phrases that are used to show disagreement. Okay, it's not easy, they are speaking real fast, so you should pay attention. जी यहाँ ब्रेक लेते हैं. अच्छा, ये स्लाइड जब डिस्प्ले की है आपने तो इसके बैक पे आपने ऑडियो फाइल जो है वो प्ले कर देनी है. जी वापस आते हैं. Okay, so you have just listened to the audio and I hope you could identify the phrases that are used for showing disagreement. If you couldn't, here is the transcript. You can actually go back and you can listen to the audio again. Here is the transcript again से आपने इसको काट देना है. Here is the transcript again से शुरू करना. Okay, here is the transcript of the audio clip that you just listened to. Okay, you are going to read this out and I am going to play the audio file once again for you. जी यहाँ हम ब्रेक लेते हैं. अच्छा, यहाँ पर आपने ऑडियो फाइल इस स्लाइड को डिस्प्ले करने के बाद दोबारा प्ले कर देनी है. छोटी सी ऑडियो फाइल है. जी वापस आते हैं. Okay, now you noticed that here are the phrases that have been used in order to show disagreement. I just wanted to see what kind of feedback you have got. Okay, this one is not really showing disagreement, but this is asking about others' opinion. I really strongly disagree. I'd be much happier if we could be located in teams. Actually, I think Sean is right. Speaking as an editor, I think Sean's floor plan is right. So these are some phrases that have been used in order to express your opinion, in order to ask your opinion. Okay, now I end with the practice situation. First, you are going to find someone with whom you can work, a partner. Then your partner will start giving their opinion on something, and you should agree or disagree using one of the phrases in today's lecture. Then give the reasons for your opinion, 1 or 2 reasons. Your partner will then do the same. So you will swap your roles, you will switch your roles. Here are some possible topics. You are suggesting ways of improving your room or improving the city, or you are talking about the government. What should government do about the economy? Why one product is better than another? Why one method of transport is better than another? Or why one type of food or a restaurant is better than the other? These are just possible topics. You can think about some more. With this, we come to the end of lecture number 26. Here is the summary. In lecture number 26, we learned how to ask others' opinions and state your own opinion, how to politely agree or disagree with others' opinion, how to use polite expressions of interrupting, and how to give pros and cons of a debatable topic. I hope that lecture number 26 has been really very helpful for you. And now you will be able to express your agreement and disagreement, and you will be able to express your opinions very well in English. And similarly, you can use the same techniques to encourage debates and differences of opinion in your classes. Thank you very much.